Everybody I meet and talking about our project in Ventura County, they say, yeah, but there are so many competitors as Disney, as Universal, and all the other beautiful parks, Knott's Berry Farm, and so on and so on. But I think for Karls, America needs Karls.
Welcome and welcome back. Florian, today I have a very quirky question. Childhood memories around strawberries. Do you have any childhood memories around strawberries?
I do actually, because in the garden from my grandma's house, when my sister and I were there as kids, she had actually those tiny little strawberries. I don't know how, Walderdbeeren or something, very, very sweet and delicious. And this is really a childhood memory of mine, because I always went into the garden, picked them all up, not so many, and we were always sad when they were gone. But another funny story with strawberries, I actually found them in my garden since last summer, and I don't know where they are coming from. We're
gonna learn that.
They are everywhere. This word Walderdbeere.
Yeah.
I just opened my smartphone. Wild strawberry, wild, not wild, not a forest.
Wild.
Wild.
But very small and tiny.
Yeah.
So you already see that we're gonna have an expert today. Before we jump in with Robert, I give some background information, because today we have with us a true entrepreneur of the Deutsche Mittelstand, I would say, Robert Dahl, the CEO and creator behind the Karls empire. Named after his grandfather Karl, who started over 100 years ago on almost the same location to sell vegetables and fruit. And Robert's father specialized in strawberries later on, and inspired by a trip of his daughter, so the sister of Robert, to Wimbledon, where he saw that strawberries were sold directly to consumer, and he adopted the business model. Fast forward now to the third generation, led by Robert, our guest today. His wife and his sister, Karls, grew into a retail, hospitality, and entertainment conglomerate. And the sales is over 200 million euro, whereas 40 million come from hospitality. They have 6 Erlebniswelt, that's the entertainment part, we talk about that, and 3 in construction in Germany. 7.5 million visitors, fans as they call them, every year. And really outstanding, there's one planned in US for 2027, close to LA, actually right before the Olympics. Altogether, Karls has 5,000 employees, whereas 50% are seasonal worker, and they currently harvest over 6,000 tons of strawberry. And I asked before AI and said, how many strawberries are there? And according to ChatGPT, that's 240 million strawberries. That's a lot.
So three for each German.
Oh my God. Welcome, Robert. 240 million strawberries. So anyway, you're a true entrepreneur, fully passionate about what you're doing, and you even had a strawberry tattoo on your arm.
I can show you on Zoom.
See?
It's here.
Here we
right
go. Here we go. So what is your big why? Because I saw a lot of interviews from you, and you're very reflected, and you also invested a lot in your education and growth over the year. If you now currently look at your purpose, so to say, so why are you opening one Karls Erlebniswelt after the other? Why you are planting more strawberries? What is the big why in Robert's world?
Yeah, of course, it's a big question, and I had to. Thanks for in the beginning, maybe for having me here, Mario and Florian. Thank you very much. 2 years ago, I always planned to write a kind of a manifest for Karls, that new people coming into our organization, that they can read this manifest and can understand a little bit better where they are right now, or where they're gonna work if they really want to work there after they understood this manifest. And in the beginning, when I worked on it, it took me over a year finally to bring these points together. And in the beginning of this manifest, the manifest of Karls has 22 points, bullet points, 22. But in the beginning, before the first of those points, I wanted to answer myself and to everybody why we are here. Why is Karls necessary? Why is Karls a good idea for Germany and maybe for other countries as well? And yeah, it took me a while to find the answer, but I get the most energy and the most fun and yeah, let's say energy for my daily work when I feel that I can inspire people. If we can inspire our visitors, you already mentioned that we call them fans. I love this situation when they take out their smartphone, make a picture, and have a conversation with their friends or families that look at this. We can do this, something like that at home, maybe, and also be inspiring for other entrepreneurs, young people, older people, no matter what, starting a business, go over problems. And when I feel that I can inspire somebody, that gives me a lot of new energy, and I'm a little bit addicted to this feeling. And that is, I guess, the answer of the big why.
It's a very strong why to inspire people, and your neighbor, I would call him neighbor, Walt Disney, who has a big park next to your park, I would say, in California. His big mission always was also, I read his biography, was to inspire people. So you have a big footprint, so to say. We talked in the intro about the Familienunternehmen. So basically, the company was set up by your grandfather, then your father made the second phase, and you, your sister, your wife, running the show. And we have quite some family entrepreneurs here on the show, and there's always this big discussion: family first or business first? And that's probably not such an easy question and quite polarizing. But what is it for you, and maybe what was it when you grew up for your father? Because you experienced it twice. On the one hand, you experienced it as a son from a strong entrepreneur, and now you experience it as a family father, so to say. So what is it in the family, Dahl? What is first?
What is first? It is, of course, if somebody is ill in our family or in trouble, of course, then it is in that situation more important and to help. But in regular situations, in normal situations, when we come together and meet with my kids and family, and we talk a lot about Karls. We discuss about Karls. They are my maybe most difficult influencers when they now we had a big time in Karls between Christmas and until yesterday, let's say, because of many visitors, much more than we expected. So we had not enough stuff. In wintertime, we do not have enough stuff. And for this short period of time between Christmas and this short high season period, we never have enough stuff. And so I asked my kids and their friends if they want to join us and help a little bit in Karls in this crazy time. And they did. And that was, on one hand, a really great idea. But on the other hand, it was very heavy for me when I came home at night at 8 p.m. They were waiting for me, and they were telling me how crazy this company is, and how many mistakes we make, and how much things we have to approve. And so yeah, we love to talk about Karls, and if one, which is more important, I don't know. It's we try to mix it up a lot. And my kids, they know when until they're little that we visit always amusement parks. We travel around the world, always searching for new inspiration somewhere, and not lying at the beach, not a lot. Yeah.
And how was it when you grew up? What do you remember on this time where you were the son? Was it the same? Was that given to you as a benchmark to really that the family business was so dominant?
You know, my parents, for my sister and me, they made it, in my opinion, today. My father's not alive anymore, unfortunately, but it was very clever because they showed us always that this running a company can be big fun. That there are lots of possibilities, opportunities, fun situations, of course, problems as well, but how to the way they react on problems was, I think, a great way. And my wife and me, my sister, everybody, we try to show our kids as well that this is a great lifestyle to be full of freedom, of choice. What we gonna do tomorrow? What nice people we have in our community, in our daily routine. I can talk to you today. I meet great people. I really love this job. And after I have got 3 kids, and when they finished school, my youngest son, he's still in school last year. But my 2 daughters, they both of them, when they finished school, they spent 1 year as a shadow. We called it a shadow time with me every day, every travel somewhere, meeting, nice meetings, not nice meetings, everything. And after that year, they started their study and whatever. And they felt that this is of course a hard piece of work on the one side, but there's a lot of fun and satisfaction on the other side, much more maybe than in other regular jobs.
I think there's worse businesses your father can be in than a Erlebniswelt.
Yeah.
You talked about your father, and I heard somewhere, I read that he wrote you a 17-page letter where he mapped out his vision of that business, like even a business plan and strong guidance. If you now look at this letter or try to recall it, what you made out of that, how much of that original idea, or how much of your father is still in that business?
Yeah, he was very. I in that time I was 21, and he in the first 15 pages of this letter, he told me the history of Karls, my grandpa, his history. When they went to West Germany, 1945, when the Russian soldiers came to East Germany, and so on, and all these kind of history, which I heard maybe before as a young boy, but never really carefully listened to it. And so he wrote me this letter. And finally, when I spent that year in Poland to study Polish language, and he finally came to the question what I'm planning to do after I'm ready there in Poland. And he had a suggestion: start your own farm, start your own strawberry farm. And then on the last 2 pages, I can show you, it's right here. I framed it here, this letter. This is the last 2 pages of this letter.
That's the business plan.
It's our business plan. When somebody visiting from the bank today, I show them, look, this is a good business plan. Not more is needed. Nobody needs more than this. And it's from December 91. And it says, build up a berry farm in Rövershagen. This is our headquarter here. And how big it should be and how much money I would need: 576,000 mark.
And was he right? Was he right with that? You needed more or less?
No, it was totally right. He could not borrow me that time because the farm of my father was in big changes from industrial strawberry growing to this
I read that direct
strawberry kiosk, and so, but in that time after the German wall came down, a bank, an agricultural bank, I was 22, and I had this piece of paper. I went to this bank and I showed him, look, I have a good idea. My father made this idea. Can you borrow me 600,000 D-Mark? And they said, yes, of course. It sounds like a good idea. Here you have got the 600,000. It was so easy. It was incredible.
It became a little bit more different, but difficult. In that framed letter, you said once there's a sentence. The final size of the company is determined by the sales. So how big is the final? How big can it be, Robert? Back to now, because your father wrote this famous sentence. Now you have 200 million. You open US. Like, what is possible? How big? How much money can we make with strawberries?
Well, with strawberries, it's now, of course, with strawberries we make 50 million, but we the rest with our amusement parks, or we call them Erlebniswelt, we make a little bit more than 150 this year, and so in the next, we have big plans for the future for the next 10 years, especially, and so I can imagine that we can make much more revenue than today. Like maybe 500 million is possible, I guess.
Oh la la!
Yeah,
sounds promising, Robert. This podcast is also about drives and challenges. So a couple of years ago, you have not been that happy as you sound today about the direction of your Erlebnisdorf. You said we didn't like it anymore. You had the option to close or to change it. So how difficult was that phase in your life, in your business life, this crisis for you, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, you prepared yourself very well. I can hear right now. Okay, that was it was an interesting time, especially with my sister and my wife, when I had this crisis, because I did not like Karls anymore, as it was that time. We had only this one Erlebnishof and the strawberry farm. I liked the strawberry farm because we had a great product, and I'm a strawberry farmer and I liked this job, always liked it. And but this Erlebnishof in that time, we lost control about what we sold. We had we sold everything without borders as long as we made money out of it, and then it was not nice anymore. What we sold was a lot of in I don't know the English word for it. Maybe it's the same, like kitsch. You know what is kitsch?
It's the same,
yeah, it's the same. And I was not proud when I had people I love visiting me and showed them around our store, our farm. I was not proud. I said it was a little almost embarrassing for me. And that was this time when we came together, and I remember, and it was on a big expo in Frankfurt for gift expo, and then in the evening we had dinner at an Italian restaurant, and I was so unhappy, and I said, really, I want to close Karls and go on doing strawberries, or we change Karls and make it a beautiful place which we really love by ourselves. And then we wrote down a lot of different bullet points how we would like to be seen. If people we love visiting us, for example, what would they say? What would we like them to say when they see Karls? And then we had this finally 6 words for Karls. I cannot translate, I'm afraid. Liebevoll, großzügig, kreativ, familiär, augenzwinkernd. Yeah. And one more is missing right
Creative,
now.
Creative, generous, authentic, loving, family-oriented, with a wink, and natural. That's what
natural, right?
Natürlich.
Yeah. And then we started to do our job, and it took us like after 2 years after this decision, Karls looked already quite good. We changed a lot of recipes in our hospitality. We changed a lot of recipes for the stuff we produce by ourselves, like bread or candies and so on. And we changed a lot of items which we sell. And we opened some new places where we produce our own, like coffee raised roastery, or chocolate from bean to bar, or a soap factory where we do natural soap. And so always when we took out some ugly stuff which we do not like, we created something new to keep the revenue. Because we cannot lose the revenue. And after 2 years, it was already quite beautiful, and it gave us a lot of satisfaction in that time until today.
And it obviously pays off. And there's another story we found that in 2001 you made a big investment that actually failed because it was the second opening and it was too close to your first Erlebniswelt.
Yes. Yeah.
What happened there? How did you overcome that? To shutting something down is also a crisis.
Yeah, that was in that time. It was also very difficult because we had not too much money, so it was really money-wise also a big problem. But I bought this really beautiful old farm, not far from our first place, only 10 kilometers, very much too close for such a big amusement place, and the German bank, the Deutsche Bank, I wanted them to borrow me money for this investment. And then finally they came to the point that they say, Robert, unfortunately, maybe another idea, but not for this. It's too close. It's too close to your farm. They said this to me, and then I even felt more power to do it, because I wanted to show them that they are not right.
The ego,
the ego, my big ego, made the decision, and then we spent a lot of money, much more money. I even borrowed money from private friends. And to bring this ready, and it was a big disaster. It was such a big disaster. 1st of November 2001 was the opening day, and we kept it open 2 years only, and then we had to close. And we learned a lot, and we learned really a lot. Until today, we remember the big mistakes we made. It was not only that it was so close to our place here; it was also that it was because it was not a new built farm. It's a really old farm, 200, beautiful, but it's with a big windmill and everything. But there are so many different buildings on the site, and in each building we had to have employees, of course, and so it was very, very
complex,
full of complex, and. But we survived, and because our other farm went well, and so we collected new strength, and it took us some years to overcome this moment.
I think it took you almost 10 years then to open the second Erlebnishof in Rügen.
That's true.
Yeah, and then you had a tent where you did that. And
because we had this tent. I don't know how do you manage to get this information, but good for you. Because almost together with me, there's one very important lady here in this operation in Karls. Her name is Diana. Diana, she's the leader of our development team right now, but she started as a 16-year-old girl selling strawberries. Then she made a break and studied, but she came back to Karls, and she knows everything about Karls and all this ups and downs. And when we together had this big crisis, this failure with this 2001 project, when we then said, okay, we want to try it again. then we decided, okay, but not with a big investment. We buy only the site and we will borrow a tent, 1,000 square meter tent with a small coffee shop and a big our farmers market and some playground. And only when we can manage to do in the summertime for 3 months, 1 million euro revenue, then we will start our project there. And then we made almost 2 million and we said, okay, we can go and invest our money there. Yeah.
I want to stay on this topic of risk. We have here a quote from Michael Durach, who runs Devela with his brother, and he said, if you make a decision, ask yourself, will it kill you or will it just hurt you? If it will just hurt you, you do it. If it can kill you, you have to rethink. And that comes very close to this theme, which I found what you said is like you run your company off Sicht. That doesn't mean you take no risk. You obviously make a big bet in US and you open other stores, but you manage and mitigate risk, also probably based on that experience. How do you do that? Because you have no outside investors. You also quite famously now said we try to manage to get no debt. So you need to control yourself, right? It's not that you have a board and you have these investors and double check you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a family company. And if you say we do it, you do it. You also have this mentor you talked about. So in general, how do you manage risk, or how do you make big decisions? Like this opening in US now. I mean, it's not the natural, it's not the 11th park in Germany. How do you moderate that decision? How do you drive off Sicht, so to say?
Yeah, of course. I love numbers. I have a daily routine in the morning at 5:30. I got the management report from the day before, and then after 7 days, every 7 day, I got a big management report of our situation according to the last year. And another big report is our cash situation. And then our cash flow situation. And then Matthias, our finance boss here in Karls, he has got a weekly routine to ask, especially Diana and me, what kind of investment we have got in mind, and we try to make it more accurate and so on. And we always try to make a forecast for 6 and 12 months if the money will be enough for our income, our cash flow situation, together with our investment plans. And so we would not sign an investment of 10 million or 20 when we feel that we won't have the money in that time. Of course, we are not crazy. we love to be heard, of course, as Michael said. I love this saying of him, that if it hurts, it's okay. If it would kill you, you have to think again. But we love to be heard. It's not a problem for me to be heard. Of course, I do not want to risk the whole company. I'm always ready to risk the whole company, I would even say. And I bring us all many times already. I brought Karls to the edge of what is possible, but not over the edge.
And Robert, you say we are not crazy. I have to disagree on that, because to open as a German player in California and Erlebniswelt and entertainment world is quite crazy. I mean, there's big players out there all around the world, and you go there in the strawberry center of the world and open that. So when you make such decision, because you said you run by number, I understand that. I think you manage by numbers maybe, but this is a strong gut feeling. I mean, there's no number out there,
of course,
which tells you have to do that. So this is, I mean, is that the bravest decision in your career, so to say, or does it just look so big because it's so out of the box? So would you consider that.
Yeah,
This is
it's
quite great.
interesting that everybody I meet and talking about our project in Ventura County, they say, yeah, but there's so many competitors as Disney, as Universal, and all the other beautiful parks, Knott's Berry Farm, and so on and so on. But I think for Karls, the America needs Karls because there is
That's a
not
nice
such
quote.
yeah, it's really, I think it's such a true, because, our threshold to enter Karls is 0. You do not have to pay an entrance fee. You can always control the quantity of money you spend in Karls, or you even do not spend money at all, but we still have beautiful playgrounds, indoor, outdoor. We have candy making shows. People can enjoy the time in Karls without spending money. And when you enter any parks in US, in California, you have to spend really hundreds, tons of money.
Yeah.
And it's a big decision to travel with your family to visit Disney. You have to be make sure that you have at least $1,000 on your bank account. Otherwise, there's no chance. And to visit Karls, it's a small fun for the family. You can visit Karls often, and of course, we try to sell them a jar of strawberry jam or a cup of coffee. That is for sure. And almost always we try to we can manage to sell the visitors something.
I like that. I want to take a crisis you had lately to understand on how you act in a crisis. So you had this fire on the 24th of December, which is quite symbolic to have a fire around Christmas. I think a fire is never good, but a fire in such a time, I think it's even more stressful. And it was in your first park, and there was quite some damage. But I'm not really want to talk about the damage or how it happened. I want more to understand how you react in that, because there is a crisis. It needs an immediate reaction of the guy in charge, the boss, whatever you want to call it, the last man standing, whatever the name is for. So let's say you. What is your modus operandi? So something hits you, it burns. What do you do? How you run that crisis? How do you act as a leader in a crisis?
I don't know where it come from, but when we have big problems, it's always my best time of power and of reacting. My mother, she's still alive, and she always says, of course, she read in the internet and write me WhatsApp, Robert, there's a fire, it's such a pity, and I stay calm and cool. And she always, already 20 years ago, she said, Robert, you must be covered by Teflon. And I said, no, Mom, I am made of Teflon. and it's I don't know why, but when we have got a big problem, I take the problem and try to solve it as fast as possible. And already this day, Christmas Eve, I called to I have got by fortune the cell phone number of the leader of the Bauamtschef. I don't know the how do you
the authorities in Germany which runs the permits, basically.
Yeah, because I knew when we want to rebuild this damage, we have to have this permission for building, and building permission, like in many countries, but in Germany especially, takes a long time. So 5 hours after we had this big fire, I called him, and he said to me, Robert, I was waiting for your call. And I say, yeah, now we have got a problem, because I want to rebuild it as fast as possible, because 1st of February, the winter vacation is starting in Germany. And so I want to be ready by that day. And he said, don't worry, 7th of January, you will get the permission to rebuild it. Wow. And today is, I think, today is the 7th, right?
Today is the 7th.
Yeah. today, this morning at 6 o'clock, a group of 40 people, building worker they are taking the rest of this damage away. And tomorrow, 2 big trucks will arrive and bring all the material for the new buildings. And we have got the crazy plan that on 1st of February, we want to reopen. We want to make it the fastest building site in Germany. And I have big fun with this.
We can hear that.
I really like that. And like we had one interview here with Clive Schlee very early beginning, the leader of Pret a Manger. He said, in a crisis, you just have to act. Huh? You have to take control and you act. The next topic I want to touch is about your management style. And there was something confusing to me when I listened and read your interviews. On the one hand, in one interview, you, I don't know, funny or proudly, I'm not sure yet what it was. At least you were proud, or it appeared to be proud on your micromanagement. On the other hand, you were very proud to explain that you transferred the leadership in Karls from a pyramid, meaning hierarchy, into a circle or Kreis.
Mm-hmm.
And you even explained, and for us, Florian and me, we are restaurant guys, and what you said resonated to us. You give this power to this, let's say, 3 management who runs a site, and they can make quite some decision. They can hire people, they can fire people, they can do investments. And you talked about in this interview what it does on kind of if somebody takes responsibility and say, okay, should we invest now this 10,000 euro in the freezer or whatever? So on the one hand, you appear to me in that research to be this trusting circle, power to the people. On the other hand, you said, like, I touch everything, like I'm a micromanagement. How does this go together?
Yeah, it goes together because I'm one of them. I'm in the circle. I like micromanagement. I really would sign this. I know it's not cool and it's not the style I should be in this time, but that is the best part of my job to take care how our new strawberry tennis socks will look like. And if the strawberry looks like this, or if it should be bigger or smaller, and
Florian, we need to get that socks. We need to get that socks.
Yeah, I will send you for sure. And I love this old word Erdbeerhof because what is the funny part of Karls? Because we have got this renaming for Karls 24 years ago. 24 years ago, we branded all our trucks and everything Karls. And still, the people say, oh, maybe we go for a cup of coffee and go to the Erdbeerhof. They do not say Karls. And sometimes we say, maybe we should skip the name and call it Erdbeerhof again, like we did in the beginning of when my father and my grandpa started it. But I love to these details. A lot of details. I always try to join almost every design meeting in Karls for new buildings and for new products, for materials, colors, and so on and so on. But I can do it only because a lot of people taking decisions on by their own. I do not have to make big decisions in Karls. Of course, when we buy a new site in Bavaria, I have to decide it. But in my daily routine, which does not exist actually, because I do not have a daily routine, but I can take my time and talk about tennis socks for an hour. And I love it.
but I mean, but this is it's a nice taking from what you are saying, that micromanagement does not necessarily be in opposite to the circular management style you're actually having, because you just do both in a way, no? And very interesting to hear that. Most of our guests actually, they said they treat their business like they treat themselves in a way. So it's their personality is reflected in their business and how they actually do that. So great leadership comes from within. That is what we figured when we did all these recordings. So we heard that you do some meditation and even ice bathing. So how does this help you to be a better leader?
It gives me a lot. You know, my wife, she's a yoga teacher and a Kundalini yoga teacher, and so she I do not do yoga with her, but the best tricks of her retreats, and so she always explains me what I have to do, and I several years ago, when I start this breathing exercise every day, for example, for 15 minutes, and ice bathing, it gives me a lot of calm, I think. No fear, staying calm, and yeah, what else?
You do that every day, Robert? You do ice bathing every day?
But I always plan to do it every day, but finally I end up like 3 or 4 days a week, because when I travel, I have got a cold shower only or something like that. But in front of my sleeping room, I have got this ice tub, and when I'm at home, I go in. Yeah. It's great. It's really, if you go 3 minutes, you feel amazing, and you feel like you can solve a lot of big challenges when you go through it.
I look here in a cold sea in front of me. We I think afterwards, Robert, I maybe jump in and make a video inspired by you.
I swear you, it brings you, because that day when we had this fire the other day, we had my kids were at home, and they brought their friends and their families, and then we made a Spaziergang, a walk I live on the smallest village on earth, I guess, and there we walked a little bit through the fields and forests. And after a half hour, there was a small river. And I said to the guys, "Hey, guys, we can go swim in the river." And it was really not nice. It was a little dark already. But finally, we took off our clothes and went into the river. And afterwards, we had so much fun. It was so nice.
Imagine.
We made, the girls, they made videos of us. And we had, it's just bringing you fun to do these things.
I mean, my last vacation, I jumped into a chilled pool every morning, and I can actually, it relates a lot to me to do that. And then I said, my next home, it needs to have a pool that is not heated, but you just jump in there every day. It's crazy. But I mean, these energy, Robert, I can actually feel that when you're talking to us, how much energy is in yourself and in your mind. But you said you are made out of Teflon these days. I mean, we are in critical times all across the world. Is there something that keeps you up at night, or how do you actually conquer all the mess that is going around right now?
Yeah, I always try to come back thinking in chances, positive ways, and of course I'm a little bit addicted to news, and I have to deinstall all the social media network apps and newspaper apps from my smartphone. I have to deinstall every day, because otherwise I would spend 5 hours a day reading this stuff. But I know that it's such a difficult for me, and that's why in the evening I install them, sometimes 8-9 apps, read 2 hours, and then I deinstall, because I cannot keep my fingers off them. And when I read all this stuff, that is maybe a good advice, not to read too much of it. It changes not a lot, but when you put all this trash every single hour for 5 minutes in your brain, I think that does not help. I do not close my eyes. I want to know all this stuff, what's going on, but not all day. I think I can do my job better here and help the world and Karls better when I just do my work and do not react on something. Yeah.
I will share that with David Baumgartner, who we had last week here on the interview, the founder of Dean and David. He has the same problem as you. He would read 24/7 news, and he always has to discipline himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, last question, signature question is always the same in our podcast, because the podcast is from entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, and it's called From Doubt to Drive. And besides sharing stories about the crisis, we also want to share advice. And what I like to understand is you said you had a mentor, and maybe you also mentor to others, or if somebody comes to you, an entrepreneur, a leader of another business, in a problem, in a struggle, with a roadblock, with big like existential threats, and he looks for your advice. And obviously our advice most of the time cannot be specifics, because we're not specifically in that problem, so we need to guide more like as a mentor or get them out. What's the first aid kit, so to say, der erste Hilfekasten from Robert, if another entrepreneur, another peer tries to get your help in a crisis? What do you do?
For me, it's always helpful, and when I meet people who ask me for help or for advice, to bring things in order. It's difficult for me to have a good, clear mind and a good work when my whole surrounding is in disorder, not cleaned up, a lot of things which I do not need, when the whole company next to our checkout stations or whatever, there are everywhere things which are not belong to the real thing. And when I do not like it. I like when things are in order and clean, and so we can focus on what we have to do. And often when I visit people, young startups, and they ask me for help, or if I can come over and talk 2 hours, it's often I see that there's a lot of trash, a lot of, and this is difficult, I think, for the entrepreneurs then to think. And my advice is always to clean up, concentrate, focus on what you are doing, to find. It's much more easy to find the problem when there is only the rest of what is really necessary. Then I cannot work on a table, for example, which is full of things which I do not need. I need an empty table to have a clear mind. And now not anymore, but 15 years ago, when I had big problems, I always had this funny point that I went to my car. Now I do not drive by car so much anymore, but I had to clean up my car. I had to clean up in the inner and the outer, and clean. And then I felt better, and then I could make good decisions again. And and this is for the whole company, I think, very important to have this order and cleaning.
The Strawberry King. What an
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
So much energy.
Mr. Karl, so to say.
Yeah.
I already liked him when I prepared for the interview, and thanks to Gretel, who connected us as our true fan. And that's an episode in honor of you, Gretel.
Yeah.
So, Florian, what's your learning?
First learning, inspire our fans, so their customers and guests and people. And he said he's really addicted to the feeling to inspire people.
Yeah, strong why.
Strong why. Yeah.
The second one, I had this family topic, family first, and or business first. And although obviously he made quite clear, and I think that's quite obvious, if there's a crisis, obviously family is first, but the business dominates really the family Dahl, so to say, by the wife being there, the kid shadowing him, the sister working there. So a clear, strong family entrepreneur, so to say.
He said he loves to talk about the business, and you felt it also in our conversation right now. And that would actually lead me also to the next item I wrote down because it so clearly shows the benefits of being an entrepreneur, because he said this life then is full of freedom and choice. You meet great people. It is hard work, but it's at the same time a lot of fun and satisfaction. And that his kids are in the business and how they shadowed him, as you said, in good and in bad meetings, etc., etc. It's really it's a lifestyle in a way, and it can
100%.
give you a lot of energy and satisfaction
if you embrace it 100%. And I like that we really talked about this 3 crises, and especially the first one when he said, I didn't like what we did anymore. We almost sold everything. And he had a strong quote, I almost felt embarrassed when friends visit me. It's a strong feeling. And he was so ready to give up. But then, as you can feel, a very passionate entrepreneur said, let's rebuild that. And he basically rebuilt that in the way how he wanted to create that. I really found that very strong. And when we talked about like how he runs and makes decisions, that was quite surprising, because when you hear him, you think he's like this hardcore gut feeling guy. But he said, I love numbers. Wakes up at 5:30, jumps into the ice cold water, and then looks into the daily numbers.
Report.
This is how I picture now, Robert. Waking up, jumping into the ice water, and then looking into the daily number. Very number driven. He was very detailed. Every 7 days I get that report, like for like. Every week we get the cash flow report. Very numbers-driven guy.
But I mean, we had that in one of the other podcasts as well, when we talked about cash flow and how important it actually is to be aware of your bank account and how much money you actually have. No? At the same time, he said, we are not crazy, but we love to be heard. In a way.
He liked the quote from Michael Duro. Can it kill us
if it doesn't kill you?
Hurt us. America needs Karls. That's kind of a strong self-confidence. I like that. I really like that, to go there and say we're gonna open in California, next to Universal and Disney and an entertainment park. But he was very reflected why that would work, because he said we have no threshold. We have no barrier. People can enter. It doesn't cost you $1,000 there to entertain your family. America needs Karls.
I will follow up. I will follow up on that very closely to match it with my California.
Back today with the cappy, with the LA cappy. Florian even put the LA cappy on.
With my Californian experience, I can really imagine a Karls Erlebnishof there. It's different, but it could work. I follow that up. Then he said, when we talked about crisis and problems and roadblocks, that when big problems occur, it's the best time for him, and that he has the most power in such moments of problems and crisis, and that he then has the power to react and stays calm and cool. And he reflected on his mom that sends him text messages and calls him and tells him, you are covered with Teflon, and then he said, "No, I'm made out of Teflon."
We talked to basically the strawberry Iron Man. We also talked about this micromanagement. I think he explained it quite well. I think what he means is he really likes to touch everything. He was very proud and happy to decide where the strawberries is on the socks. So he's a very detail-oriented guy. But he also said he likes to work in a environment where he doesn't need to make all the decision, and that's important, where he doesn't have a daily routine. He likes to attend as many meetings as possible, but I think it always feels like he wants to have enough room to improvise. And
so I just an additional note, but I think his micromanagement is more a love for details.
Yes, I think so too.
It's not the decision-making process. It is the love for the details that are reflected in his enterprise.
Yeah, I agree. You see, he's a positive guy. He thinks in chances. He doesn't think in problems. He doesn't even think in solutions. He thinks in chances. What can that give what can this crisis bring? He said, like, I want to be the fastest construction site. Nah?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really incredible. The shit burns down, and you call the head of the construction department and say, please send people where you start rebuilding. I mean, that's an attitude.
Absolutely.
I like that.
His advice also
exactly.
interesting. Bring things in order, clean up first, concentrate and focus, reduce the trash, all those things to get more structure and a better view onto issues and problems you might have. Empty table, clear mind. So that's.
I definitely need to empty my table.
I don't want to show my table right now.
We had two podcasts recording, and it looks like the BBC office here with all the printouts. Anyway, Robert, in your honor, I'm gonna do two things now. First, I clean my table, then I undress and jump into the fucking lake, and I'm gonna send a video now to Florian and to you. Okay, guys. Take care.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Wow. We hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we did. But sharing is not just caring. It is also empowering. So recommend this podcast to fellow entrepreneurs who might need a dose of inspiration. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss out on future episodes. Thank you for being part of the community from Doubt to Drive Entrepreneurs Only. Mario and Florian are already gearing up for the next episode. Until then, stay tuned, stay driven, and we'll be back next week.